Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, to my podcast. Whether you're listening to me over on Spotify or if you're checking me out on my YouTube channel, welcome. Always a pleasure to have you. And if it's your first time, my name is Sade. I am a wellness and holistic coach focusing on spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental well being practices to help people transform their life and really alchemize their potential. So, for today's topic, we are diving into 7 key steps to healing the mom wound and reclaiming your feminine energy. And my apologies if you hear a dog in the background. It's my neighbor's dog who is always barking about something. But love the animals, letting that dog have its time, have its space. So, apologies if you hear any barking in the background. But this topic is super, super important. And I have found it to be more important the more that I work in the doula space. I am a full spectrum doula. I assist women with giving birth, dealing with any postpartum or prenatal challenges, and just really assisting and helping women feel very strong as they welcome in new life and truly transform into a new version of themselves. When a woman gives birth, she is no longer the woman that she was before she gave birth. She is a brand new being. So I assist women through that transformational process. And I have found through this doula work the deep interconnectedness of a child to the mom. And that relationship that you have with your mom or your maternal parent, because I do want to consider that not many of us, or not, let me not say not many of us, but there are a lot of people out there who are not raised by the woman that birthed them, but they still have a maternal parent in their life. And the relationship that you have with that maternal parent really signifies the relationship that you have with the feminine energy. And if you have a wound with that maternal parent, it is going to make your understanding of the feminine a little more challenging. I would never say that you won't be able to have a relationship with the feminine, but it is going to be challenging because your current relationship to the feminine, or the person who first showed you the feminine energy, is wounded. And when we think about the relationship of a mom and a child, that starts from the moment that the fetus is growing in a woman's womb. And you are so connected to your mom that you knew her before you met her. And what I mean by that is because you were nesting and being nourished in your mom's womb, you were nourished by her thoughts, you were nourished by her emotions, you were nourished by her dreams, you were nourished by her experiences. Everything that your mom experienced and felt, you too felt. And that relationship between a mom and their child is spiritual, because it happens before the baby is even in the physical form. So once the baby comes into the physical form, you are still spiritually connected to your mom. So regardless of what your relationship is like to your mom, having some sort of understanding and having some sort of acceptance is going to be very important if you are dealing with a mom wound and if you are struggling with connecting to the feminine energy, because you will forever be connected to her. So I want to start off by saying that the connection between a mom and their child is spiritual, because it starts in the womb, and the womb where a child is nourished, they are nourished in water, and the water element is the element of spirituality. It's also the element of deep intimacy and connection and creativity, right? So this relationship stems before you even realize what your actual relationship was like with your mother. And you are here to challenge the viewpoints of your mom and also have her be a mirror, or maternal parent. I do want to make that clear. So if you hear me saying mom, I do mean maternal parent as well. You are here to to have her as a mirror to show you the other aspects of yourself that you also might be in denial about, or that you need to strengthen in this lifetime. So any type of relationship that you have with your mom is here to teach you something. We are not just here just to roam the world aimlessly. We are here because someone prayed for us, right? And that can be in the simplest form of, if your grandfather wanted to be an artist and you came into this world and you were an artist, that was a prayer that your grandfather probably didn't get to live out, but is living out through you. So we are here for reasons, and our parents are some of our greatest teachers. And those lessons are not necessarily fun, but they're here to teach us something about ourselves. And the first step to really healing and dealing with your mom wound is acknowledging and identifying what the wound is. A lot of times we can be in denial of our frustrations with our parent. We can be in denial of the things that happened to us as a child that made us feel unnourished or unloved. But you have to, in order to understand where you are, and in order to connect deeper to your own feminine, you got to go back to your inner child, and you got to go back to what happened in your childhood and identify and acknowledge what the wound is. And from there, validate your feelings. There's no need to swallow the emotion that you feel about an experience, and there's no need to deny yourself of having that emotional response to an experience. You deserve to acknowledge and you deserve to validate, because that's what helps to start the process of healing. Acknowledging that there's a problem, acknowledging that there is an emotional response to that problem and that you are worthy of feeling that emotional response. And then from there, taking the steps that is needed to heal. And ways that you can acknowledge and validate these feelings is through dream work, is through journaling, and also through having a therapist. I'm very big on, people embarking on their healing journey with others and not feeling like you have to do it on your own all the time, even though there are going to be some aspects of your journey that you do need to do on your own, but not everything needs to be done alone. And when you have a therapist or just a counselor that you feel comfortable and safe with to talk about these things with, it really can help you to start the process of healing and dealing with that mom wound, and then finding more intimacy and connection to your own emotional body, which will then help you to tap deeper into your feminine energy. Now, another thing that is going to help you in healing and dealing with the mom wound is understanding the root of the wound. And what I mean by that is taking a moment to understand your mom. A lot of times and this was me, right? I would get upset about a way that I was treated, and I failed to understand my mom's upbringing. And that's not going to justify anything. I want to make that clear. Us taking the time to understand a person's viewpoint doesn't justify the action. But when you take a moment to understand your mom's position, how was your mom raised? What happened to her? It's going to help you have a better understanding to the fact of, this person is literally moving from what they learned and what they lacked and what they had. So a lot of times the things that we want or wanted from our mom couldn't give to us because she didn't have it. So there's really a lack of knowledge, a lack of information, a lack of healing. If you know that your mom experienced certain things in her childhood and hasn't healed from it, then it's safe to say she's continuing to carry the pain and is going to inflict that, right? And her healing journey is her healing journey alone. And that's another thing, another point that brings me to is, a lot of times we see our parents as these ideal figures. We idolize our parents, and we have to take them off the pedestal and realize that they are flawed human beings on their own personal journey. And because they're on their own personal journey, they have their own pain, their own trauma, their own joy, their own peace, their own life, and their own karma that they have to deal with. And that is not the same as yours, even though they brought you here. So it's really having that separation of, yes, this is my mom, this was my parent, but this is a human being that is also on their own journey. And a lot of the answers that I think they should have had or that they would have had, they don't. So I have to take time to understand that root of the situation, to then acknowledge the role that they played and how much more I can even be given. Right? Because again, people cannot pour from an empty cup. And what I find is when you get to the root and you seek understanding, that's where a level of compassion can start to develop. And that's of course not going to happen in every situation. But in many situations, if you know that your mom had a very turbulent childhood and didn't get the healing that she needed, then now you can understand why she moves the way she moves, and then you can take action to change yourself and reparent yourself. The next value that's really important to dealing and healing the mom wound is setting boundaries. Right? If you know that you have a certain type of relationship with your mom and spending a certain amount of time with her or doing certain things with her is going to trigger and bring things up that you are still working through, it is perfectly fine to set a boundary for the sake of your peace and your sanity. And I think a lot of times when healing and dealing with the mom wound, there can be guilt and shame and wanting to put one's needs first. And that is a very important thing to master when healing the feminine energy, is putting your needs first. Taking care of yourself, especially if you are an adult, because no one is obligated to take care of you. So you have to set the right boundaries in place for the sake of your sanity, so that a neutral relationship can be maintained. And setting boundaries can look like having conversations of, hey, when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel X, Y, and Z. Why is that? I'd appreciate if you don't X, Y, and Z. And of course, it might not be as simple as having that conversation, but you having the courage to set a boundary for yourself, to protect yourself, is starting to heal that wound and is tapping you deeper into your feminine energy of putting your needs first and seeing yourself as worthy of putting your needs first. Another value that is super important, and at this point we're on value 4, is reparenting yourself. And I cannot tell you how much this process has been so beautiful and so painful at the same time, but I would say more beautiful than painful for me, myself, because you get a second chance at life when you take back your power and stop blaming people, and you take back your power and you now change your story by giving yourself the things that you needed that your mom couldn't give you. And again, it goes back to that second point, understanding the root. If you knew that your mom had a turbulent childhood, there's certain things that she just couldn't give you because she doesn't have it. So now it's time for you to go out there and learn, find the tools, find the teachers, and reparent yourself. Give that to yourself. Hold your younger self and tell your younger self that she is okay, that she is loved, that she is seen. And this in turn helps you to change your relationship to your feminine, because now you are giving yourself the love that you need. You are giving yourself the emotional understanding. You are giving yourself the boundaries. So that is strengthening your connection to your feminine energy of receiving, and receiving what you are worthy of by you giving it to yourself. And once you do that, you'll then be able to connect with other people who see you and who want to love on you in that new way, in that new light. When we don't heal our mom wound, we end up attracting people based off of that wound that we're carrying, which is a disconnection to our feminine nature. Right? And again, healing the mom wound doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with your mom, but it's a point of acknowledging, understanding, and accepting the relationship that you have. It's having the boundaries that you need, reparenting yourself, getting to the roots of why this happened, validating your emotions, and reshaping your life, reshaping your connection to yourself and your connection to the feminine. Coming to our next point, point 5, another point of value is engaging in inner child work. So again, going back to your childhood, what were the things that brought you joy? What were the things that brought you peace? What were the things that brought you pleasure? Right? That is connecting to the feminine. That is healing the feminine. Allowing yourself to play. Allowing yourself to laugh. Going back to that younger child. And if there's aspects of your childhood pertaining to your mom that brings up a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of resentment, feel those emotions and then reshape the story. What do you want to feel now? How can you tell that inner child that they are safe? Because you are allowing yourself to now be in a space of joy, a space of peace, a state of pleasure, of laughter, of ease. And the next point is practicing forgiveness. This is point 6. And when I say practicing forgiveness, it's not necessarily forgiving the other person, but forgiving yourself. A lot of times we hold on to resentment and frustration that we have towards our parent. And really a lot of the times it's because we couldn't be the people that we needed to be in that moment to protect ourselves. And the reality is that you couldn't. You couldn't be that person. You couldn't be who you are now then, or who you want to be then. So you first have to forgive yourself for not knowing, for not understanding, for not having the courage, for not having the confidence, for not having the awareness. Forgive yourself. And when we practice forgiveness on ourselves, and we practice grace, and we practice compassion, and we practice ease, we are healing our feminine. Because we are saying that I am worthy of softness, I am worthy of ease, I am worthy of compassion, I am worthy of grace. And the thing about forgiving yourself is the more you start to give grace to yourself, the more you will change the way you view your mom. You will have compassion for her. You will have more grace for her. I didn't say tolerance. I did not say tolerance, right? You can have enough patience for someone to understand their position and still not be tolerant to be on the receiving end of abuse, right? But when you practice forgiveness with yourself and you practice giving yourself grace, you're going to extend that to other people because now you understand. You understand what it's like to not have the tools and to move from a space of not having the tools and the damage that is caused to now having the tools and being able to heal the damage. You know what that looks like. You know what that feels like. So you can now look at another person who is causing pain or havoc in their life because they don't have the tools, and you can give them grace. Doesn't mean you have to be their best friend, but you can give them grace. You can give them forgiveness. And then lastly, celebrate your progress. Celebrate how far you have come on your journey. Celebrate all the things that you have been through and still being here. And knowing that everything in life is a lesson to teach you an aspect of yourself. A lot of times, in order for us to truly understand ourselves, we have to be in relation with people. There are things that we have to do alone to understand ourselves, and there are things that we have to do and experience with other people. And those experiences are not always fun. Some experiences are great, some experiences are extremely painful, but all is necessary for our growth, our evolution, and our transformation. So you have to celebrate how far you've come and celebrate how far you have to go now that you have the tools, and to really give yourself that space of joy, of ease, because that is how we heal the feminine. The feminine energy is all about alchemy. It's all about taking something and creating something different from it, changing our story, healing ourselves, giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves ease, giving ourselves the softness that we deserve, right? Everybody wants to talk about the soft life, but the soft life requires deep shadow work, deep inner child work, and healing of the mom wound. Now, I will go ahead and do a video or a podcast on the father wound, because that too is an important wound as well. But I wanted to go ahead and start off with this one because just what I've been learning in the doula world and seeing and realizing as a collective, we all need deeper work with the feminine, and it starts with healing our relationship to our mom, right? And thinking about things of our childhood and how we were nurtured and how we weren't nurtured, and where we can do better for ourselves and the next generations to come. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Feel free to let me know how you have been healing and dealing with your mom wound. If you're comfortable sharing what that wound is, feel free. And feel free to send me an email at info@hiddenalchemybysade.com if you have any questions about my coaching services around healing the feminine energy and tapping into your spiritual practices and techniques. Head over to my website, hiddenalchemybysade.com, where you can find all of that info. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all soon.